So my name is Gabriel Nyamu, and I'm a director with Inquest Research and Consulting, which this program is brought courtesy of Inquest, and therefore we are so honored to host you tonight. And this is just one of many other series of editions of webinar series that we run in various thematic topics. And our focus is just to be able to empower the marketplace, empower you guys to be more effective in your workplace, and just to be able to help you be more relevant where you're working and reduce what you may call non-value adding work and have meaningful conversations, meaningful decisions that are data-driven. I think if we can achieve that, definitely that's our desire. So the webinar tonight is called NDA Interactive KPI Dashboard. It's going to be just an introduction, and of course, you're going to do more editions along the way, especially now that we are ending the year. But it's been brought to you courtesy of a company called Inquest Research and Consulting. We are purpose-led transformation and impact partner, and our vision is to be able to influence personal and business success through purpose-led transformation, evidence-based impact, and we love when we see ecosystems having value and be able to have a lasting impact. So we model that legacy, and we hope that this will be one of the things that will interact with us to help you see how you can be able to also be a transformational agent in your organizations. We do this through our unique value propositions. We listen, we empathize, we co-create, we transform, and of course we measure to sustain impact. And we have done this in quite a number of organizations globally. I think currently we are in over 13 countries in terms of where we have expanded our outreach and services, especially in management consultancy. So we do research, big data, AI, management consultancy and advisory. We also in the organizational learning, that's pure what we call corporate training and leadership development. And then we also do market innovation. I like a quote by this gentleman here, and I hope you've seen it sometimes severally in many platforms, who says that in God we trust, and all others don't bring me stories. Now we are towards the end of the year where there's a chance many of us are going to bring stories in the boardroom. And the CEO is looking at you and like, I mean, what is the conclusion of all this matter? And I think that's why this conversation is very important as a cutting laser, as a starter conversation. So, I mean, everybody else bring data as much as we all trust God. I think this is an emphasis of how we need to position ourselves as data-led professionals. As Inquest, I'm winding up now in the next 30 seconds. As Inquest, we have arranged for you quite a number of certifications that we do in this big data space. You can actually become a certified data-led professional. We have a certification for data-led professional. You can also become a data-led and innovation-driven manager. You can also become a data-led and impact-driven executive. That's purely for CEOs. You can also be a certified human capital modeling analytics professional. Those are guys. And also, I know currently we have AI and these machine learning things. We can also certify you to become a certified machine learning professional. So there's so much that is packed for you that, of course, we can be able to engage with later to discuss how you can benefit. I think towards the end of the session, we are going definitely to share our various contacts that you can reach out to us. So without much ado, allow me to be able to introduce our speaker tonight. I'm not the one handling this session. So we have a speaker who is going to speak to us, and is a speaker that I have known for more than, I think, around 7 or 8 years. He has been in the space of big data analytics, a data scientist. He has specialization in business intelligence, data science, automation. Turning data into strategic insight, whether it's in the customer space and normal operations. And I have known Bonaventure Muia for quite some time. He has been very instrumental in driving this what you call data-driven narrative. So it's going to be the one taking us through brief. So this section is not very exhaustive. It's kind of a teaser to just bring in and help you start up a conversation. We are going to have several subsequent sessions maybe in the coming weeks, and also offer some clinics. Sometimes we offer some free data clinics where people come to us and say, I have this data, what do I make sense of it? How do I present it? How do I analyze it? Of course, from the basics all the way to advanced, which of course is the AI, machine learning and AI. So whichever space that of course interacting with the data, we are happy to partner with you later. So Allow me to introduce Muya, who has been in the data space, a data scientist, a BI expert, and I think he's going to introduce himself more further. So maybe if you can click, and let's agree that you can post any question on the chat anytime. Kindly do the comments on the chat. But also number two, you can also be, when there's something that is interesting to you, can you see the reaction where you have the emojis? I know most of us. Kindly put these emojis, and I expect to see some of them now probably coming in, if you can do that. Can we appreciate Muya as he come in? Let me see the emojis coming up. Hey, I can't see any, guys. Try to look for that icon that has emojis as well. Come Muya to take up the stage. I'm expecting to see some before Muya. Muya, don't speak fast before I see some emojis coming in, so I'm waiting. Whether it's flowers, okay, the love heart. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Amos, thank you for the clapping. Lonely, good, Diana. Now I think you have the legitimacy to pick up the conversation, Muya. Karibu sana. Towards the end, you'll have a Q&A session, which you can always be able to pose any question to Muya, and he's going to respond. Thank you very much. Karibu sana.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel. So my name is Muya. I'm a data scientist, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Let me go straight into it. And this is KPI dashboard. So with me, I have some data that I'm going to share with you. Hopefully you can see my screen. So I have a data that this generic data from some kind of an e-commerce. And this is the data that I want us to try to build a KPI dashboard. So the first thing, we'll try to talk about what a KPI dashboard is. We also try to identify some of the KPIs that we can track using the data that we have. And then eventually build something like a wireframe or a sketch for our dashboard. And then eventually build the dashboard. So we should be very time conscious because we just have 1 hour to do that. So I'm going to take you through the columns of the data set. We have the sales order, we have the product name, order quantity, total product cost, we have the sales amount, profit, order date. You can see all the columns names here. Customer who bought that order, gender, education, the city for the customer, country, the day when that order was ordered, the month name, and the year. So this is a simple data set. It tries to mirror exactly what we do every day. You make an order somewhere, and then that order is going to be some data points to somebody. So if you look at this data, you can track some KPIs from this data. This will depend with the objective or your role. So for example, if you're a salesperson, all what you'll be interested to do here is just track anything that has to do with sales. If you are a logistics person, then probably you'll be able to look at how many orders have been fulfilled, are not fulfilled, and stuff like that. So let me try to open a blank worksheet, and then we try to identify some of the KPIs that we can track from this data set. We just want like 4 for the sake of just demoing, trying to demo how to do the dashboard. So if you have some KPIs that you have in mind based on the data that we have here, you can probably drop them on the chat. But off my mind, I have you can track the sales amount. Sales amount is going to enlighten us on how many sales we are making. I've also seen something to do with quantity, so we can track the quantity ordered. We can as well track maybe something to do with our costs. Yeah, product costs. Let me check on the chat if there's anyone with a KPI. None. So let me see what the data says. So we've talked about the quantity. there's a column that is giving us the KPI for the quantity. This is another one giving us the KPI for the costs. There's the sales amount, which is giving us what sales have been sold so far. There's a very important KPI that I'm almost leaving out, which is profit. So we can move with those 1, 2, 3. So profit. So those are 4. In case we need 5, we can have customers. And this, when I'm talking about customers here, I'm referring to the number of customers. So these are our KPIs that we want to track. How have these KPIs been distributed over time? Have they been distributed across the months, across the years, if the data that you want you're tracking is across a number of years? So if these are the KPIs that you want to track, then how are we going to build our dashboard? Remember, dashboard comes from an automotive term called a dashboard in a car. The dashboard that you have in your car does not display everything. It only displays what is important. Only displays like the amount of fuel that is remaining, the number of miles that you've covered, only what is important. If you're thinking of a dashboard like a dump where you just dump every information, no, that may not be the case. A dashboard will just try to showcase the most important KPIs. So for our dashboard, we're just going to build a simple dashboard, and this is the structure of the dashboard. This is how it is going to be. So the dashboard is going to be 1 page, and we're going to have all our 5 KPIs at the top. So the 5 KPIs are going to be probably in form of boxes or scorecards. So KPI 1, KPI 2, KPI 3, and probably the last KPI. So this is how the KPIs will be. And then right after the KPI, so this is KPI 1, KPI 2, KPI 3, and we have our 4th KPI, like that. Now, if you have the KPIs at the top, we need to create some space below here where we are going to have our charts. So we are going to have our charts below here. This is the area that I'm shading. The importance of having the charts is just enhancing your storytelling. So for example, if you're telling us that overall we have $12,000 in terms of sales, then we need to know, okay, how are these dollars distributed across the customers? How are these dollars distributed across the days? So it's just enhancing your story. So in a nutshell, this is going to be our wireframe or a sketch for our KPI for our dashboard. We have the KPIs at the top, and below we'll have the charts. We can have several charts nested in between this region. We'll be able to see how that goes. So we can have chart 1, we can have chart 2, and we can, because we also need the dashboard to be interactive, we also need some slicers just to make it interactive. So we find a space for our slicers somewhere, somewhere here. Another chart here, another chart here. So at the back of your mind, just know you're going to have the KPIs at the top, charts below the KPIs, and then to your far right, you're going to have your filters or your slicers. There are several tools that can be used to create a dashboard or a dashboard. But for today's demo, we'll be using Excel. Excel is a tool that can enable us achieve whatever we want to achieve here. There are other tools like Power BI. Some people must have had Tableau. Even some programming languages like Python, R can give you some dashboarding aspects. All right. So I'm going to create another sheet that I'm going to call the dashboard. This is where our dashboard is going to be domiciled. And I have another sheet that I'm going to call analysis, because of course some analysis has to be done before just everything aligns. Analysis. Okay. On the dashboard, I can remove the grid. I just want it to be blank canvas, blank. And then remember we have our KPIs here. We're not going to look at any other KPI apart from the ones that we've identified here. So sales amount, quantity, cost, profit, and customers. The easiest way to get the KPIs is through the most popular feature in Excel, which is pivot tables. Pivot tables will give you some quick analysis within a very short span of time. And that is what we are going to use. So this is our data. For those who are not there before, I introduced this data, and this is the data that we'll be using to create our dashboard. So we have the sales order number, product name, order quantity, and all that. The data is structured in form of a table. Remember, a table is an Excel object. I may not dive into the major details for all of these, but the data is in form of a table, and the table is called sales data. So the shortest way we can create a pivot table from this data under the analysis, I can just click anywhere and go to insert, then pivot table. My pivot table is taking data from a table, which is going by the name sales data. So I'm just going to type sales underscore data, then press OK. So this is giving me my first pivot table, and my first pivot table will be a list of all the KPIs. So the list of the KPIs, we started with the sales amount. So I'm dragging the sales amount to my values pane, total costs, again to my values pane, again to the values pane. And then the last one was about customers. I can as well drag and drop the customer name. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 KPIs that we already identified at the start. So for these 5 KPIs, we have to make sure that the 5 KPIs have been summarized in the most appropriate way. So for example, if it is profit, is it summarized by sum? So you can change the function from here. So this is sum of sales amount. I can rename this sales amount so that it can be easily accessed. These will be costs. This will be of space, profit. And then this is going to be quantity. And then lastly, this is going to be customers. So these are my 5 KPIs. Let me introduce let me format them as a number. I don't want decimals for this case, and let me align them to, okay, I can just leave them the way they are. So these are my 5 KPIs. You can see how they are. So the sales amount, we have around 29.3 million. The cost is 17, profit is 12. The quantity of SKUs that were ordered is about 120,000. And this is from about 60 customers. Now, remember the wireframe that we talked about? We have to bring in those KPIs to our dashboard so that they appear as scorecards at the top. So to do that, I'm going to use illustrations or symbols. And I'm going to go for this rectangular rounded for this rectangle with rounded corners. So I'm going to draw this. So this is how one rectangle is going to look like. You can adjust the roundness of the corners, or you can do the formatting from right here. And we need 5 of these. So let me format it. So the first thing I can use this fill. The outline, I may not need an outline. And because I just have to make it more beautiful, I want it to be more beautiful, I can use some effect, like let me have some shadow like that. So that's, yeah. And then I have to replicate these 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those are the 5 cards that we need. So I need to align them well. So to align them, align them at the top, and I can distribute them horizontally. So these are my 5 KPIs. I have I have the KPI cards, but the KPI cards are not complete unless we bring this information for the label and the value to the dashboard here. So to bring that, we need to use something we call a text box. A text box is just a placeholder for text. It's just like a variable in programming. So this is my text box. For the text box, I have to make sure that I do correct formatting, no fill, no outline. If you have question, remember you can just drop it on the chat. I'll be able to answer your question. Or if there's something that you think you need more elaboration on. So that is where I have my text box. And I need to replicate this to the rest of these cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, for this text box, it should hold either the value or the label for the KPI. So let me insert the label. So the first KPI is going to be for sales amount. And you can see sales amount is right here with us. It is that easy. Because this color is a bit blue, I can make this label to be of color white. And I can make it bold. I can make it bold. Oh, come on. Yeah, let me try bold. Yeah, that looks better. So I have to do the same thing to this. The other one will be for costs. The other one will be for the profit. And then the next will be for the quantity. I have to get this from my analysis. And then the last one will be for the customers. I'm using the formula bar to reference. And I need to have the same formatting across. So I can use the format painter for this case. Like this. And then like this. So customers, quantity, profit, and costs. So those are the labels for my KPIs. We need to get the values for these KPIs. So the values for the KPIs, remember we've already calculated them in our analysis. So it will be very easy. To get the values, for example, for the one for sales amount, I just need to reference. Gilbert, if you have a question, please type on the chat. I need to reference this value for the sales amount on my analysis. And just like that, I have the value. I need to do the same to the costs. So this is my costs, profit. I also need to do the same. Profit, quantity, I also need to do the same. Equal sign, then quantity, and then lastly, I need to reference the customers. Where my customers are on my analysis is right there. Then I need to make this also to be white. I can increase the font a little bit. Let me do 14, like that. So you can see from here, this is amount is the label and the value is 29.3 million. I can have this formatted using the format painter. All the way to the last one. You also have to make sure that they are aligned well. Right. So majorly we've been able to create our 5 KPIs. Remember, our plan is still in progress. Our plan is still on. We've been able to create our 5 KPIs. This is how we had built our wireframe, and we have the labels and the values. So the next thing, we need to bring in the charts. Remember the charts I said I'm going to enhance our story. So how do we bring in the charts? First of all, I will have some containers just to hold those charts before I bring the charts. So the containers again can be in form of shapes or symbols. And I'm going to have this formatted. Let me format this a bit differently. So I need, I need this to have no outline. Oh, no outline, and the fill, no fill. Okay, let me have this kind of fill. So I can replicate these containers as many times as I want. This will be based on the number of charts that I want. So if you want 4 charts, then you need to have about 4 containers. The containers just make your work a bit easier when it comes to the arrangement of the individual charts. I can have another one right here. And then I can have the last one right here. So if you look at our dashboard, it looks like it is taking shape. We have our cards, and now we have the containers. So let's get our charts. Okay, let me see. Do we have somebody with a question? Okay, no question. Okay, great. So let's get to building our visuals. So the first visuals that I want to build still is going to be based on the KPIs. So let me copy this entire KPI pivot table. And then I'm going to place it right there, just below it. And I'm looking at a situation where I want to see the distribution of these KPIs across a number of years. So do I have year in my list of fields? And the answer is yes. I have the year. Let me remove the totals. So I have something like this. So now, from here, you're able to see in 2005, this was the sales amount. This was the costs. This was the profit, quantity, and these are the number of customers that we acquired in 2005. And you can see the growth from 2005 all the way to 2008. But we want these to be represented as a chart. All right. So to have these represented as a chart, of course, there's no way in which we can just build one chart to represent all this information, unless we are a bit, unless we optimize a few things. So for example, I can build a chart just showing the year, sales amount by year. This can be a chart. All right. But what is going to happen to cost, to profit, quantity, and customers? This is the way to navigate this problem is you can use buttons. So I have a developer tab, and from the developers tab, I'm going to have radio buttons. Some people call them also option buttons. So let me have option buttons on my dashboard. And I have option button number 1. I can replicate these based on the KPIs that I want to have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have 5 option buttons. And the options button are going to help me know when to switch to costs, when to switch customers, because we can only be able to show a 2-dimensional figure at a time. All right. So for this case, let me rename my my radio buttons. The first radio button, let me call it sales, because it is going to be showing me sales. The second one, I can rename it to costs. The third one, I can rename it to profit. I'm just using the same alignment that we've used for our KPIs. So the next can be called profit. So profit. And next we need to have quantity. I'm just renaming these buttons. Quantity. And then lastly, we need to have customers. I'm selecting something that I don't need. So these should be customers. Okay, so our buttons are ready. So the buttons are going to help us switch from one KPI to another. So we need a proper alignment for these buttons. So to do proper alignment is just like what we did with the shapes. Align, select all of them, and then make sure that they are distributed horizontally, yeah. And then also make sure that you align them. You can use at the top or the bottom. Let me use at the top. And then I'm going also to hold them. and then try to bring them up a little bit like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have our 5 KPIs and the 5 buttons. Now, the biggest job has already been done. The next thing, you have to program these buttons. Programming the buttons, you have to use the format control. When you select this button, what number does it return? So under the format control, I want to come to my analysis, and then I just color, this is cell D14. This is where my buttons will be communicating from. So D14 is right here. Let me use some color like that. So now, because I've selected sales amount, the button is showing 1. If I select costs, you can see it is showing 2. If I select profit, it is showing 3, maybe. When I select quantity, it should be showing 4. Yes. And then lastly, when I select customers, then you can see the button is showing 5. Using a bit of logical if function, we can take care of this situation. So the thing here is, I want all these row labels right here. But here, it is either we use our logical if. But of late, if you're using Office 365, there's a function that was introduced called the switch function, which is like nested if functions. So let me use the switch function here. And switch works when it is true. Switch works when it is true. All right. So switch true, I'm simply saying when this value is equals to 1, then give me sales amount. I need to do absolute referencing to this D14 so that it does not change whatsoever. And then it will be D14, when D14 is equals to 2, give me costs. When D14 is equals to 3, you give me profit, comma, when D14 is equals to 4, give me quantity, and then eventually you can give me customers. But before this formula works, you have to do absolute referencing to everywhere where you have a mention of D14. So D14, F4, press F4 to do the absolute referencing. And here we go. So it is now showing 5. That is why we have customers. Let me pull this formula down, and we have the values for the customers. Now, the hardest job has already been done. So you can celebrate a little bit. So the next thing is to get a chart here. But before we get the chart, remember we are announcing our story, and the story cannot just be announced by having a button that is showing customers and sales. We have to give a narrative. So for example, if I just write, I want to highlight the top 2 years, 1 and 2, and I want to use the launch function so that I get the value for the top 2 years. So I want to get the first 1 year based on the launch function. So this was the biggest value, that is 2,265. And this was the second largest value, which is 24,443. If I write another column here that I'm going to call highlight, and you have to figure out how are you going to know that these values belong to which year. So here we can use if or. So if you're simply saying, if this value for customers is equals to this value, or if the same value is equals to this value, what you should do in that case is give us the number of customers for that month, for that year, not month. But before that, let's see, is there anything that we need to do absolute referencing on? And the answer is yes. So whatever there's a mention of H, it should be absolute reference, because I need to pull this formula down. So H17 is right here, do absolute referencing. H16 is right here, also do absolute referencing. And press enter. If I need to have blank returned in case that is not true. Wow, so we have the years now. I'm going to show you why we need this just in a moment. So let's build a chart, and the chart is going to be insert. Let me look for a good recommended chart, and the recommended chart that I like is this. And let me do a few things. Formatting, I'm removing unnecessary details. Even I don't need this. And for the chart, because it has to be taken to our container, we need to have the fill off and also the shape outline to be off. So we have something like this. For these two, which are lighting the topmost 2 years, you can highlight them. Then format series. And then on the series overlap, make sure that it is overlapped up to 100% so that you don't see the previous ones. Let's resize the chart. Resize the chart. For this, we can fill them using this blue and the rest, because this is where we are drawing our attention to, the top 2 years. And these we can fill them with this gray color. And then let me have my data labels on. Data labels on. And then from there, I can copy this chart and then take it to my dashboard. This is my dashboard. Paste it there. And it looks beautiful. Now, that is our first chart. All this dashboard should operate is now, these should be showing customers. If I click quantity, look, it's changing to quantity. Profit, wow. Costs, it's working. And eventually sales, this seems to be it. Can we have a short story or a caption for this? Yes, we can have a caption. And I'm going to write the caption really very fast. So the first thing on the caption. So we can now write a caption, and the caption can be the highlighted years. We try to show the concentration risk based on the highlighted years. So the concentration risk here will be the sum of these 2 years. I can do absolute referencing divided by the sum of the total, which is all this. Let me also do absolute referencing and then enclose. Come on. I have to do this and then close. And then let me make sure that this is absolute referenced. Like that. So you can see the top 2 years contributed 67% of the total sales amount. So now, I need to write the highlighted years. Lighted years contributed 67%. And remember, this is going to be a text, so we have to change it. So using the text function to percentage, text function, and to percentage, this will be like 0.0% close. So the related years contributed 60 whatever percent of the total. The total here, we have to talk about the KPI. Is it profit? Is it sales amount? Is it what? Of the total, the KPI, we can always get it from here because this is what is going to be referencing the KPI. Right there. Press enter. Oh, I forgot my... So the highlighted years contributed, I forgot this quotation mark right here. And then I need space of the total like that. So the related years contributed 66.7% of the total sales amount. Okay. I need to have of the, to have a bit of space of the total sales amount. Okay, great. So I need to have this as my title now. So my title can be a story. And I'm just going to copy this text box, place it here. Make sure that it stretches all the way to the end. Let me do a bit of housekeeping just to make sure that this is going to be... Let me do this black. So my title of this chart is going to be, how to fetch it from the analysis, is going to be this. So look at that. So the highlighted years, I have to stretch it well so that it is visible. So the highlighted years contributed 66.6% of the total sales amount. If I click on costs, look at that. The highlighted years contributed 66.2% of the total costs. Profit, quantity, look at the quantity. The highlighted years contributed 93.9% of the total quantity, and the customers as well. Now, this is not just having visuals that in one page and then you call them a dashboard. This is storytelling. All right. So that is our first chart. A bit complicated, but you've seen you are able to select the parameters. You're also able to get a story from this text box here. And then you're able also to see the distribution of whatever KPI that you chose across the years from this bar chart. I think we have a few minutes remaining, but let's see if we can build another chart, maybe another chart. Okay, I'm copying this. And I want to see the distribution of profit maybe across something like gender. So I'm going to remove everything here. And the only thing that will be left with is profit. So this is profit. I want to see this distribution across something like gender. Do I have gender? Yes, gender. So this is the male and female, and you can see the distribution of profit across this gender. The easiest way, you can build a chart from here. Male and for female. But which would be the most appropriate chart for this? a pie chart. So let me have this here to get the numbers. I go to insert recommended charts, and I'm looking at all charts, and the kind of pie I want is this. This is the pie I want. I'm going to do some formatting. So I'm going to remove the fill, of course, so that the chart is not very, it blends in with the environment, which is my dashboard. If I try to format these, like, you can make the whole to be smaller or bigger. And we have two colors here. Let me have one color filled with blue. And then the other color, I want it filled with this gray. These are the most notable colors that I'm using across the dashboard because I don't want to use a lot of colors. Copy this, and I have another chart just in a few seconds. Another chart right here. You need to place these charts on one of the containers. Make sure that this is resized. And have a look at that. Looks good. Now, we are missing something. And whatever we're missing here is the title, or what we are calling the caption. So we need to have the caption. And the caption for this is a bit easy compared to what we did with the rest of the charts. Because if you go to analysis, let me drop profit again on the values, and I want to look at these as percentage of the grand total. So you can see every gender is almost contributing 50-50. So I can as well get this from here. And then make sure that this is formatted in percentage. So the genders are, every gender is contributing almost an equal amount to the other one in terms of profit. Right. So let me write my caption. My caption is going to be profit distribution across male and female is almost equal. Profit distribution across male and female gender is almost equal. So that is going to be my caption. I need to start with an equal sign so that it appears like a formula. Come into my dashboard. I'm just going to copy this caption that I used here, and I have to reference my analysis right there. So you can do one more chart before we finish this. One more chart. I want to add a come on. I want to add my data labels to this pie. Not exactly that. Data labels, show data options. So I need to only to see the category name and the percentage. I need to have no outline for this. All right, so you can see now we have 50% for each gender in terms of profit, male and female. We can do one more chart. And let's do something that is a bit different. Where my KPIs? So this is my KPIs. I want to look at maybe the cities, the distribution of profit across the cities or regions, and then let me see how that is going to be. So I'm still having profit, and I want to have a look at the distribution of profit across the regions. And you have these regions here, which is United States, Canada. Let me sort this, maybe largest to smallest. So United States is having the vast majority in terms of contribution. And I want to have a look at the first two. So remember, we use the large function. This is the array. This is the array, and we want to see the first one in terms of profit together the second one. And then right after that, let's format this. We can create another column that we're going to call highlights. So my highlights, this is going to be the same process like what we did the first chart. My highlight is going to be if or, remember, if or. So we're simply saying if this number is equals to this, or this number is equals to this, so give us this number or else give us blank. But before you pull this formula down, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. Column G, you have to do absolute referencing to it. Column G, column G. So let me pull this down. It should only be appearing on two places, and that forms my highlight. Let me format this. So I have the comma separator, and then let me build the chart from here. So the chart, I want to use a bar chart for that matter. Recommended charts. I want to look at the bar. This is the bar charts I'm talking about. I can do the same formatting that I did with the other one. Got to be careful so that you don't delete something that you need. Remember what we did, the highlighted bars. We did the overlap. We can even increase the gap length here. Try to resize this. Resize this. Come on. All right. Resize is not working as fast as I want. No fill and no outline. So we have like this. Always the highlighted bars we've used the blue color. And these others we've used a bit of gray. Okay, a bit of gray. So here we go. Cut, dashboard, and we have a new chart, which should be right here. You can see how simple, how easy it is to come up with the charts. We'll be consistent whole through using the same formatting technique. So what we need to do here is add the data labels. Our data labels outside end. Data labels to the outside end. So my data labels are right there. So you can see how much each country contributed in terms of profit. We need also to add a caption or a title for our chart here. That is going to enhance our storytelling ability here. So on our analysis, we need to do that. And we said here should be the sum of the highlighted. You can always use absolute referencing to make sure that your cell does not shift out of the total sum, which is this absolute referencing close. And then you can see the related countries here, in this case, are contributing about 62%. So my caption is going to be the highlighted countries in blue. Contributed about, I need to do text, this percentage. And I said, if you want to percentage, you can use 1 decimal place for the percentage of the total, about 63% of the total profit of the total profit. Highlight, and then I can reference that from here. So the highlighted countries in blue contributed about 62.8% of the total profit. All right. How much time do I have? I'm not sure how much time I have. It looks like time is over. All right, but before we stop, let me show you how this thing, after you come up with all the charts that you want, how this thing is going to be interactive. You have to bring in slicers. Slicers will be like filters. The work of the slicers is to slice and dice your data. So for the sake of this demonstration now, we'll have only one slicer. And The slicer will be my year. So here is my slice. And let me paste it somewhere here. Now, the difficult job that we have is trying to make sure that this slicer now mirrors the background that we have. There are a couple of ways to go about this, but there are these already presets. There are these styles that are already created for you. You can try to choose a style that mirrors whatever background that you have. If that style is not available, then you can try to come up with your own style by duplicating an already existing style and then you format it appropriately. So for this, I have a style that looks similar to what I have. But if I choose the different years, you realize none of these charts is being sliced. Even the KPI cards are not being sliced. So for that to work, we need to report on our slicer. On our slicer, we need to report connections. So to report connections, this is what you do. You can go to your analysis, click on the different pivot tables that you created earlier. And from the different pivot tables that you created earlier, you should be able to see something like I'm not seeing any. Wow. All right, this seems not to be working the way we want. Let me create another slicer from here. Oh, come on. And then from this slicer, let me report connections. So if I just right click on the slicer, you'll be able to see report connections. These are the pivot tables that you created earlier. 1, 2, 3. I reported connection to all of them. Okay. And then copy this now to my dashboard. So now I need to delete this. And now if I select every year, you can see it is being filtered. Even the cards are now dancing. They're being filtered. When you want to clear filter, you have to use this to clear the filters. But one thing that is not working rightly is we don't need to filter this year because you can see only 1 year will be remaining. So to make sure that we do that, we need to come to analysis, and these are the KPIs. And now filter connections. You can see the year is filtering the connection, and check that. And now if I click, you can see the years are they being filtered still? Oh, it is not filtering this. I wanted this. Oh my God. So filter connections, that should be there. And this is the one. Filter connection, this does not need to be there. All right, now it's okay. So you can see the years are now being filtered now from here. So all the dashboard is interactive. All the cards are being filtered. The slicer that we have has blended in with our environment. You can see that. All right, I think we are going to stop there. The other bit is probably you need to populate these other containers with other charts and make sure that they are configured so that this slicer can filter them. So do you have somebody with a question or anything that is not very clear? So somebody, Francis, is highlight the caption again. So Francis, which caption are you referring to? So okay, any. So Francis is saying any caption. So these are the captions, and the captions are just being referenced from the analysis sheet. So that is how the caption is working. And also the caption is interactive. So for example, if the percentage changes here, you see it is also changing. So John is saying, is there a way we can Excel dashboarding as a link format? Is there a way we can Excel dashboarding as a link format? John, maybe your question is not very, very clear. I don't understand it. You can try to paraphrase Francis on the analysis tab. Okay. So on the analysis tab, this is where we have our captions. Francis, this is what we have on the captions. So I'm just using the AND operator or the ampersand to tie the statements together. Oh, okay. John, I get what you're saying. So yeah, you can use. All right. Thank you. Francis. John, whatever you're saying about the link format, I think if you're talking about hypertext, hyperlink, yeah, you can as well use an hyperlink. So for example, if I say something like click here for analysis, or I just type analysis, I can do an hyperlink. You can use this link here. And from this link, this is the text that will be displayed. But when do you want this person to move? You want this person to move to, in the current document, you want this person to move to analysis, then okay. So now, as part of the dashboard now, if you click on this analysis, this is going to take you here. So that is, I think, what you are asking about, the use of the hyperlink. Yes, so that can be done. That can be done, John. Any other question?
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Muia. Actually, my question is all about whereby you can share with me the links so that I can interact with them if you are not dashboard?
Okay. So yeah, so Excel is a tool has got limitation when it comes
Do
to
you
sharing your
hear me?
product or your work. Yes, I can hear you, John. So if the links are for sharing with stakeholders, that is not possible. That is not possible. You can only share the Excel file where you have that dashboard if you want your work to be consumed by other stakeholders. All right. Joel, I've seen your comment. Thank you so much. I'll be able to share the dashboard with you. Maybe I can make the final product of the dashboard available together with the recording, so that you also get to see how everything looked. I'm looking at the questions. It looks like we got no more question. So John, if Caleb, thank you so much, Caleb. So John, if you are question about the link, so John is saying, I would like to see a slice up of profit per product. Yeah, that can be done, Joel. A slice up for profit per product. That can be done. So what you need to do here is you come to your dashboard. Any Excel, any pivot table that you created before. And for this time around, you should look for a slicer that is for product. So do we have product name? Yes, it is here. So select. Remember the product name, I've got longer names. So copy it here. Let me see if I can have it somewhere. I'm going to, for now, I'm going to have this aside. So this is the product. Let me use this. So if you click on this, you realize a lot is not happening. So you have to configure your connections. This is what I told you about reporting connections. So I'm going to report connection to every pivot table that we created. Then okay. So now if I select a single product, you can see it is filtering. So any field that you have can be indeed a slicer. You'll need to configure it well, and everything should be working. So you can scroll the products all the way to the end, and you can see, for example, this product is only sold in a bit 4 countries, and you can see them here. You can see the sales amount, the cost, and all that. All right. Thank you so much for your questions. So Lydia is asking, if somebody is interested in acquiring the skills. So probably Lydia were not there when you joined. There are very robust programs for Excel. I think Gabriel was able to share some of those programs, even some certified programs. So we do training. Training is our business. So if you want any training, then you can reach out to Inquest, and then they'll be able to arrange training for you. So we do training, Lydia. Thank you so much for your question. All right. Any other question before we wrap up?
Yes. Muya,
Yes.
there's something I put on the registration for today's meeting. Like,
Yes.
you've done all this. Is there
Correct.
like one-stop method of your output.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want to have the print function of the dashboard that you have created in such a way that you can have a series of filters as you're exporting them individually for you to kind of come up with a report.
All right. So you want to export the dashboard maybe in form of PDF or as a report?
Yes, as a report at any one given selection. For instance, you filtered the
You filter
sales.
08, you export. You filter 05, you export.
Yeah, something like that. Or you just use the normal print screen or something. Is there a simpler way?
There's a simpler way, but it can be complicated based on where you are in terms of Excel. Have you ever used macros before?
Yeah.
Correct. So you can record a macro when you're selecting a specific year, you go print, select another year, you go print. You can record a macro doing all that. I wish I had more time, I can show you all that.
Okay. Macro recording.
Yeah, so it should be around macros. Even if you look at this list of these guys for the products, this is the question that Joel asked. So for example, assuming that these products are being sold by different sales representatives, you can filter the dashboard based on the product and then record a macro that will send that filtered dashboard to a specific agent using an email. That still can be done using the macros.
Okay.
Thank you. Right. So thank you so much, guys, for showing up for today's webinar. Feel free, if you've got any questions, you can always reach out. And I'm also going to make available the finished product of the dashboard so that you get to interact with it together with the recording. Cheers.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. We're so much thankful to you, and also to Muya. We give you your flowers. You've done a really good job. That's great. So for the rest of us, we have some upcoming end-year programs. Some are free, others are paid webinars. So I'll just paste them in the comment section. You can choose, you can ask us about anything you could be interested in. And also we have a link that has been posted there. You can join that WhatsApp group. It's for Data for Impact. So you can click to join in, be part of the Data for Impact team. Also, we normally do Excel, as Muya has said. We do Excel training and other trainings. So you can reach to us as Inquest, and then we'll guide you on how to go about it. Otherwise, that was very much insightful. We thank you for sacrificing your time, and we're so much honored to have you as Team Inquest. We're so much grateful. Reach out in case of any question.